Hey! Maybe not. Let's see. Bear with us, everybody. We're doing our best over here. Yes. Okay. Okay. Yeah, we're live. We're live. Hi, everybody. Thank you for your patience. Welcome to the August edition of the Southern Colorado Trail Builders Check-in. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize this so I can make sure that we can see your comments. Apparently it's harder to do on this. So to give everyone some context, we had to, here we go. We had to set up Zoom, which we didn't have to do last week. So we don't know why we had to do that. So I want to go ahead and pull up this thing. Okay, cool. Awesome. We have people. All right. So go ahead and on the YouTube Live, if you have comments, please write them in here and we will follow up on them. Can we see Nicole? Let's see here. Almost. There we go. All right. So we have our membership director, Nicole, with us today, and we're going to just go through a quick agenda just to catch up on the questions that you all had asked last week. First, though, we are going to check in on our budget update, and then we're going to jump into the Lake Pueblo Trails updates. So, Nicole, speak up if you can.
So we currently have $14,415.91. Since last meeting, we did spend $168.02 on some materials for a Carhartt Trail Day that's coming up that we will talk about in a few moments. And then we did spend $16.12 on Zoom. Ultimately, we're hoping to get this so that the board can all be remote and on here in our own homes while this COVID stuff is going on, so we don't have to awkwardly be 6 feet apart with masks. But that is kind of the goal there. So then we paid for Zoom for that. And then we have our $9.99 for our waiver forever. And then we did get one new member since last meeting. So thank you for joining. And with that, membership chair, my one thing is I know we gave out a bunch of membership gifts at the Trails Bash, which was actually the last time we were in person because of COVID. So if you have not received your membership gift, if you could email me at nicole@southerncoloradotrailbuilders.org, and I'll type that in the chat for you. And I will actually mail out free of charge for you because we can't really see you in person to get you your membership gift since we haven't had a chance to be in person at a meeting. So email me and I'll mail that out to you to make sure you get your lovely socks and your membership card.
Right. And remember, if you have your membership card, go on to southerncoloradotrailbuilders.org, LakePuebloTrails.org, and check in on the member perks. Again, if you have not used your membership to your advantage at one of the awesome businesses that supports us in town, then you should probably go ahead and do that. I'm actually going to pull it up on my phone so I can quick walk people through this. While we are on the membership topic, I'm going to LakePuebloTrails.org. Why am I going there instead of Southern Colorado Trail Builders? Because it's a lot shorter and it takes you to the website, same website. Okay, so here we are. We are on our great website. And this is just a reminder to get people to sign up for our newsletter or to donate or to go to the homepage. You're going to go ahead and click on the homepage down there. And once I'm there, I'm going to click on the menu and click About and then Member Perks. Boom. Now, if you're a member of Southern Colorado Trail Builders, you get a discount at Bingo Burger, Brews Ale House, City Rock Climbing Gym, Solar Roast Coffee, and these are people that directly support us and support trails in Southern Colorado. So not only do you get a killer deal there, but these are also people that support us. So make sure you go out and support them. The people that are doing food, you can go in and just grab it. They might even do curbside. So make sure that you're supporting the people that support us. Now, this this last meeting that we had 2 weeks ago, we had people ask the all important question of how do those new regulations work out, that the ones that about CPW and the new licensing requirements for fishing licenses and or hunting licenses if you're going to be using CPW lands. Specifically, how does that apply to me as a person that lives in Pueblo or Pueblo West? We checked in with CPW, and to answer that question, the South Side trails. So those are the trails that everyone is most familiar with at the Red Gate, at the South Shore parking area, etc. All of those existing trails that are mapped right now on the south side are on state park land. So if you're on the trails, you're not going to have an issue. But if you leave those trails, a lot of that land is wildlife land, specifically west of Voodoo Loop. So stay on marked trails. If you're going to be riding or hiking, just remain on areas that are already marked trails. There's 2 reasons. Number one, for you, that keeps you out of any potential issue in regards to the new CPW licensing requirements on wildlife lands. And then second, and arguably equally important, you are not impacting previously unimpacted areas, i.e. you are not trotting vegetation and creating new spaces that don't need to get ruined, or at least don't need to get set up for use. Now, in regards to the north side of Lake Pueblo, most of those trails are technically wildlife area. The trail along the North Marina and the campgrounds, et cetera, often called the North Shore Trail, is mostly fine. And again, mostly fine in the sense that that trail is mostly on state park land. All of those trails out in Pueblo West, for the most part, were built well after all the stuff that was on the South Shore, which is, if you've never heard us clarify this position, we're focusing on the South Shore trails right now because they've been established much longer and they're utilized by a far greater number of users that are specifically coming there for that resource. But yeah, so on the north side, it's mostly wildlife land. So you could be in a position where you might need that license. And also, as for a lot of the parking areas people use to use those trails, you'll notice that the signage at those small parking areas on the north side of the park will say whether it's state park land or wildlife land. So on that note, if you have questions, throw them in there because we'll either address them now or we'll address them later at a later date. Now, the last point about Lake Pueblo State Park, in regards to trail maintenance, we are still waiting to hear what the final setup will be in regards to who Southern Colorado Trail Builders is checking in with in regards to the work that we're going to be doing out there. So as it stands right now, if there's a major maintenance issue that revolves around safety, obviously that would need to get taken care of quick. And we work with CPW and need to get approval through the Bureau of Reclamation to do that work. And we are working through what the process will look like in the future now that the RMP has been signed. So that will hopefully look like just checking in with CPW as the managers of that land. And it would be a more streamlined process. That will likely hear by 2021, hopefully. Now, anything you want to add?
I'll add the trails as well.
Yes.
So with that being said, since we are getting closer to being able to hopefully do more out there because we're working on the behind the scenes stuff to make sure we get correct approval, etc. But when we get that okay to start doing stuff, we want to be 100% ready to go with what that stuff needs to be. So you notice today around 4:30 or so, we sent out another email for help doing a trail assessment. This went out to members about in June, and then we decided to open it up to everyone to try to get some more trails done. So what you got is a sign up, and what we're asking for is if you go on there and you pick a set of trails, and then you get us some feedback about what kind of shape those trails are in. So is there any erosion? Is there any trail damage? Is there any proliferation on there? Is there any social trails coming off of there that shouldn't be there? We just want to know, like, hey, what's going on out there that could need to be addressed in the future? So to do that, if you go out there and take pictures, if you can get GPS coordinates, that's awesome. If not, just kind of a, hey, about a mile in or halfway in, any kind of information to help us find that position or that spot. You're going to email those to dave@southerncoloradotrailbuilders.org. And if you check that email out, I hyperlinked that and you can click on it and you can send those pictures to him. And then we're going to create that database. So when we have the ability to get out there, we know exactly what needs to take priority. And if you could do that by our next meeting, which is September 7th, that kind of puts a nice deadline so we can see what else needs to happen and what trails we don't get to by then. So once again, I sent out a sign-up sheet, pick some trails to go out and check out. Remember to take care of social distancing while you're out there. Go with just your household members or by yourself, and make sure you take some water and some snacks. Take some pictures of anything that you think that doesn't look right, and send us some kind of notification about those trails. And we're looking for that by September 7th. So we'd love your help on that, and it's a good way to get outside and volunteer.
All right. Thank you, Nicole. And I think that pretty much rounds out the actual updates for today's meeting. If you are here, it looks like we have 15 people watching. So if you have questions about what's going on in Southern Colorado, or if you have ideas for what you'd like to see from us in the next little while, then please comment now, because we can address them right now. Or if it's a more in-depth question like this one about the state park licenses, we can address it later, more in depth. Also, just to remind you of some of the questions we got last time for ideas for tutorials and videos. A video of how to manage or how to safely operate around snakes in wildlife in the area. And on that note, I think that we could also have some fun things about items you might need to worry about more than snakes when you go out on trips, such as like bringing water. And then 101 tips on hiking with children. I have a child. I don't know if I have 101 tips, but I bet we can come up with more than a few that have worked well for us. So if you have questions, throw them in here, and we'll give it just a couple minutes, and then we're gonna call it. Just a quick and fresh meeting for today.
Carhart Trail.
Oh, I skipped the Carhart Trail. How about that? Yeah, we should probably follow the agenda that we created. Okay, the Carhart Trail in Beulah, Colorado. If you are familiar and you're one of our great volunteers that helped out, thank you. We have a little bit more work that we're going to be doing, a small team. We're going to be going up there with just a couple board members and doing some debris management. So this is not going to be a full-on trail day. It's just going to be doing a little bit of work to ensure that any debris that could come off the trail at any point doesn't. And so that's where this month we purchased some netting and some cable and stakes, and we're going to be going and putting that in. That's something that there's a good chance you won't even notice it. Definitely as a trail user, the goal is not for you to notice it or see it or lean on it or any of that stuff. You probably won't even know it's there, but it's to ensure that we mitigate any potential challenges that we could face with the trail. And in the future on that trail, I'm sure we're going to be doing some bench work up there. So if any of you folks remember hiking trails in 1.5 miles and then working hard all day for a cheeseburger, we might have more to come. All right, anything else? Any questions? Anybody? We've got 15 people. So I mean, if you are thinking of something, comment it please, because someone else might be wondering it too. It's 6:18 now, according to my computer, and we will call it at 6:20 unless there is a question. Ooh, Joe coming in with a great question, and exciting enough, it's one that is in the RMP. So Joe just asked, I know it sounds like a major project, but is it possible to build some kind of a narrow bridge to connect to the Voodoo Trail across the water? So Southern Colorado Trail Builders historically have done some major efforts to build a bridge across that thing. And that creek gets going when the rain happens. So more than one bridge has been washed away from there. And we're talking substantial bridges with major concrete footers have been washed away from that spot. That said, in the trail management plan that was proposed, there are proposed bridges, substantial ones, connecting between, actually not that location, but higher up, going across the canyon. Now, whether that will happen or not, I don't know, but shoot for the moon. And this is the major advantage of having full-on legal partners and systemizing this trail so that way the trails are actually legal, is that when we're partner, or when the system is recognized as a legal trail system on federal land, then we have federal partners with federal funding, as opposed to being tiny little Southern Colorado trail builders getting some small nonprofit grant money. So there are items on that docket that are proposed to solve that problem, because it is a very real problem and that is a very popular trail. But as to when and how that solution will come about, that is still unknown. So
We did get a grant. We found out, or that, not us, but the state park got a grant to start looking at some of those problems and items for future too.
Yeah.
But that's just looking at, not doing yet.
Exactly. CPW got a planning grant, and that one's primarily going to be for the more potentially challenge areas of the existing trail system in the canyons, specifically in the canyons, and then a couple of the steeper trails that drop into the campground off of Arkansas Point. It's more looking at the sustainability of a few key things. Staircase and steep tech, because they're so steep coming down off the top of the butte into the campground. Looking at those and figuring out what sustainable alternatives might be or what treatments need to be done. And then on free ride, quick draw, and a couple other spots where there are wooden features, CPW is going to be looking into replacing those, not just eradicating them, but replacing them with something more durable, like what you probably would see in a professional bike park type of thing, something that has, staying power. So that's another really exciting thing. Any other questions? That got us all the way to 6:21. I believe in you all. And we've got 15 people. All right. In case anyone was wondering, the condition of Squirrel Creek into the Carhart Trail is actually pretty legendary right now. So if you're looking for a hike or a bike and you can get either dropped off, or if you're going to do a big out and back, it is 10 out of 10 Adams recommend being up there right now. Squirrel Creek is gorgeous. Carhart is gorgeous. And if you're on a bike, you can loop the whole thing from Beulah riding up 12 Mile, which is miserable, but I recommend it still. Anything else? Anyone? Any of these giant flies? No? Okay. Well, thank you all for being here and for supporting Southern Colorado Trail Builders. Nicole, anything else for our members?
Just reach out to me if you haven't gotten your member gifts, and also take a look at that email for the trail assessment and get out and help us out.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Goodbye.